Good morning, everybody, and aloha. Welcome to Just Talking 24, page 55. This morning, I want to talk about what's happening in Minnesota. I mean, that's the only thing happening in the news, really. And well, we all know what's happening with the the girl that got shot by the the ICE officer, and then I just saw this other guy that I mean, the press is really building up. This guy got shot in the eye with a non-lethal round, and he's over there crying because now he lost his vision, and he lost this, and he lost that. Well, brother, that's why they call it non-lethal. It's not. It's not gonna hurt you. It's if it hurts you, it won't kill you. So it did exactly what it's supposed to do. That is non-lethal. Maybe these college kids will understand that when when there is a label on something, read the label. Really simple. It's not rocket science, folks. It's basic. And if you're wondering, yes, I am wearing a jacket. It is, well, in Hawaii, our term is it's freezing. It's in the 60s. And it's northerly winds, and they're blowing at about 15 to 25 miles an hour. And if a lot of you don't know it, um, this house is old. I keep telling you, it was built in 1950. And in those days, when they built the houses, they built them, we didn't have centralized air. So they took into account the winds, the natural topography, the climate conditions and everything. Not too many people had the kind of money that you could have centralized air. I don't even know if they had central. I think they did in the 50s, but not for homes. They had air conditioners, but most of the homes were built to take like this house was built to take the trade winds. It's long north to south because the trades come from the northeast. And during the winter time, we get these northern winds, and the northern winds are like any other northern winds in the northern hemisphere. They're cold. They come from the North Pole, the northern area. And so in Hawaii, when it gets to the 70s, it's cool. When it gets to the lower 70s, it's cooler. When it gets to the 60s, it's cold. And with the chill factor, it's either in the mid to low 60s this morning. And when I'm under two blankets and a cover, really, it's freezing. And I have FNF, and for those of you that don't know, FNF is fat and fur. Okay, so for I as I get older, my skin I guess getting thinner because I still got the fat. Just I don't have as much fur and I don't have as much resilience against cold weather. But that's why I'm wearing my jacket. And this is my light jacket. It's my denim jacket. If I'm really cold, then I'll wear my little thicker jacket. I don't have anything down. Okay, it doesn't get that cold in Hawaii. Unless you live on a Mauna Kea, or you're gonna go skiing on Mauna Kea or something. But normally, just this is our jacket, denim, and I have mine has the flag on it. See the flag? Yeah. This one has a flag. I have a denim vest that I wear, and the flag on that back is like 11 by 8 inches. It's huge. It's the biggest flag I could find. Yeah, as you guys know, I love this country, and I will fly its colors. But what's happening? Let's go back to Minnesota, and the family of that girl, that good, her, her first name fails me, but her last name was Good, and they, the family, I don't know what family she had. I mean, must be her wife, husband, whatever. But they acquired the same lawyer that did the George Floyd case. Yeah. And I don't know what they're going to go after that because from what I've seen, one camera angle showed that, oh yeah, the guy wasn't hit. Well, the guy in the picture is not the guy that's doing the shooting. It's another officer whose back is to you that says ice on the back. The guy that did the shooting was in front of him. It's blocked. But if you look at the other camera angles, the guy was hit and he was shot. And the thing was, he had just undergone a few months ago the same thing. He was dragged by a person that didn't stop, and he required 30 stitches. So this time, when the car came to him, he wasn't gonna. He's not gonna mess around. He's gonna just fire. And he shot 3 rounds, which is, to me, that's indicative of federal. The federal people, like the police, they unload their clips. You see them, right? Yeah, you see these not shows, but these clips on YouTube and whatever, of police chases where they stop the car, and then the driver makes one shot at the policeman, and then you get 5 policemen unload their clips in them. That's 45 rounds, and the guy was hit 3 times, and he still makes it to the hospital and he survives. That's local police, yeah. That was the joke. My good friend, he passed away. He was one of the range masters for Honolulu Police Department, and believe it or not, the federal now, federal limits. Well, when you shoot, you got to shoot by federal scale, and the federal scale for LEOs or law enforcement officers is 70%. In other words, you shoot, you get 35 out of 50, you get 50 rounds. 35 out of 50 got to hit the kill target. So I ask him, so what happens to the out of 15? And he goes, I don't know. He says, you only gotta hit 35 out of 50. And that's pass. You can use a gun. One out of every 4 bullets is going to hit somebody else, but hey, it's all right. Oh my goodness. And that's federal. That's the federal standard. And so these local policemen, I mean, when they shoot, they just boom, 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 just blowing. I was taught aim small, miss small, squeeze, make every round count. Because in a firefight, you don't have unlimited amount of ammunition. So you got to make every round count. If you can, use a long gun. If you don't have, use your pistol. If your pistol, you got to shoot, you got to kind of hit the target. And the smaller the grouping, the better. Yeah. When I went for my gun class, I shot, because I don't shoot a semi-automatic. I shoot a revolver, and so I had I think it was a 40. No, it was a 9. It was a 9mm, and clip, and I shot the first round. Boom. Okay, shoot again, and you're only 10 feet away. Okay, so shot the second one. Boom, and I knew the instructor. I went to school with him. He's 1 year younger than me. And he goes, you hit the target. I go, yeah. He goes, try again. Boom, 3 rounds. The hole stood there. He goes, you that good or you missing the target? I said, well, the air is moving it because I see the target moving. He goes, oh, shit. But then he knew that, Chester taught me how to shoot. He goes, holy shit, Chester taught you good. I said, yeah. So he said, that's okay, 3 rounds, that's enough. You'll hit the target. But yeah, I don't really like semi-automatics. I don't know what it is about it. I'm so used to revolvers. It's just when it's in your hand, you're used to seeing the chamber, you're used to seeing the hammer. I mean, everything about it is just so, just like driving. It took me a while to get used to my car. I was used to trucks. I love trucks. I love being up in traffic, being able to see far. I love trucks, the standard gears, not the automatic. And it took me a while to get used to it. And now I'm still not used to it. I tend to stick way far back when I drive. I notice that because I cannot see far enough ahead to see what's coming up. Yeah, and a couple of times it actually helped because on especially crosswalks, you far behind and then you can see something coming up, so you stop. And I stop when I stop for a crosswalk, I stop 20, 25 feet away. In other words, the car's on the other side of me when I stop. Why did this guy stop? Then they see the pedestrian. You don't stop right by the crosswalk. Stop well behind it to give especially like if it's at low light times, dusk or dawn, where you can hardly see. Yeah, you do that. Let the people get adjusted to it. That's just the way I was taught to drive. But what's happening in? Let's get back to Minnesota. I don't even know where to start. This is totally unventured area for the federal government for the corruption that they're trying to undermine and dig up and to get rid of, to clean up, just to clean up that state. It's gonna take a lot of time because this is something we don't have the system in place. You know, this type of corruption we knew was going on, but nobody did anything about it. Well, Trump is gonna do something about it, but there's no Acme school of corruption cleaning, whatever. He has to do this all, and we've got to do it. We've got to pave the road. This is unpaved road, so we gotta survey it. We've got to clean it out. We've got to level it. We've got to prepare it. Then we can pave it. But once we pave it, it's going to open up for other states. That's why I'm so glad he's doing it now in the beginning of his second year. He's got 3 more years. And the other states better, they're not going to clean it up. They're not going to clean up their stuff. It's so entrenched in corruption. They're just going to suck it up until they're going to suck as much as they can. You can't clean it. I don't think they want to, really. But Trump is going to start. He's starting with Minnesota. And then I don't know if he's going to Illinois, Ohio, New York, California, whatever. He's going to go. He's going to come to Hawaii. Hawaii too needs it. But we're so small. In our language, it's called manini. Manini, small. So, but eventually it'll come to it because the government, once they get their system in place, they can duplicate that system, hopefully. And then you can go simultaneously different places. Right now, you got to just concentrate on one because this is a system that you're making. You don't mass produce a system unless the system is made and it's proven that it can be used. Then you mass produce it. And that's going to take time, folks. And the left, they're trying everything. They got this guy all over the place with his black eye, his left eye that he'll never use again. And then they got George Floyd. Is that the guy's name? Yeah, I don't know what to call him. Ray Floyd. Ray Floyd was a boxer, right? Raymond Floyd. But anyway, George Floyd, they got the same lawyer for him. And they found out that George Floyd was, one druggie, and he might have died at an overdose, but because it's not a small wonder that it happened in the same state, Minnesota. In fact, like they said, 20 miles away. So that's a nesting pot of really bad. Thank the governor for that, Tim Walz. He's doing good to just lay low because his time is coming. As they're going to be prosecuting. We got Clinton, President Clinton, who's refusing, who's breaking all the laws, and he's an. I tell you, it's so much is happening out there. I don't, I went down to, believe it or not, Zippy's, which is a, drive-in. It's a drive-in chain in Hawaii, Zippy's. And I was at the Pro City one of all of them. I don't know. I just was in the mood for a soda. I didn't want to go to 7-Eleven. I went to Zippy's. Said, oh, maybe they got something else. So I walked in there, and I saw my friend there, and Ross gotta be mid 80s, still going strong though. The guy is still sharp. He's still tough. So he was sitting down. He goes, so I thought, hey, how you doing? And he goes, see, I used to talk to him way back in the 70s. Okay, he was one of my guys that would take me under, and we go drinking and stuff like that. And he told me, told you, eh? And he was one of those that knew what was kind of happening in Hawaii at the time, and all the dirt and everything, and how it was all being covered up, and now it's not being covered up. And he goes, told you, eh? I told, no kidding. I said, but did you ever? So I asked him, you ever thought this stuff was going to be this, come out like this? And he said, yes, but not in the time that it has. Generations maybe down the line. But this one is all, it just, just bloomed. I told him, well, you know why? He goes, yeah, I know why. Because they cut the head of the Hydra off and they didn't stop the bleeding, and the bleeding, all that stuff just comes out, all the pressure. That was our pressure cooker, our pressure top. He one man held all that pressure down, and when he was gone, boom, everything just exploded. So, but then we both agree on one thing, that we both glad that we at the end of our lives, we on that end of the life, and we got to see the good parts, and it's sad to see the bad parts. He said, what was happening around the U.S. was bound to happen, because the what he calls it kukai. Kukai in Hawaiian, it means feces, stool, waste. But he said, yeah, the kukai was just all over. And he says, look in the mainland. He says, what it is in Hawaii is nothing compared to what it is on the mainland. He says, they're finding these billions of dollars. He said he wouldn't doubt it was trillions of dollars that went out of the U.S. into other countries. He said, that's just the way it is, money just buys. And he was one of those that he could have been somebody, but he chose not to, because we don't like the publicity. Some people, they like it. Some people, they can handle it. And it's you get these celebrities that they want the fame and the fortune, and then paparazzi starts hounding them, and then they can't stand it, and then they start crying about it. Well, too late. Once you pass that step, you're there. And unless you totally cut yourself off and totally, don't want that lifestyle at all, you're going to have that lifestyle. And they don't see it. It's part of the picture that you got to learn. It's part of the lifestyle. And he was one that just didn't want that lifestyle. And I could see what he did. I mean, you don't want that lifestyle. Very few people do. Very few people can handle that lifestyle. I was reading this article about celebrities, and how many celebrities are trans, and how many celebrities' kids are trans. Proportionally, it's really out of proportion. But is it out of proportion because of, their lifestyle, or is it because it's out of proportion because the parents are out of proportion about it too? The guy from Different Strokes, Willis, Yeah, it showed a picture of him and his wife, who's looks trans. That they're splitting up, they're getting the divorce. You know, well, it's interracial, and I don't, there are so many labels today. Everything is label, label, label. Can't stand labels. But everybody, they want the label. They use labels like it's free. And labels labels are meant for a purpose, and the purpose is not just it stereotypes everybody really bad, really bad. You know, I told you I go on X, right? And they were asking about, oh, do I believe in the military? About them getting after the transgenders and kicking them out. And he said, did you vote for that? And indirectly, yes, I did, because the military, you gotta be real. A lot of the guys in the military are homophobic. I'm not gonna say if it's right or wrong. It's what is. Now, if you got 1.3 million personnel in the military, and you got 20,000 trans, look at the odds, folks. No, I'd rather get rid of the 20,000 trans than the 1.3 mil. Because when you need it, you're gonna be glad you got that 1.3 million homophobics. Believe me. And the way it's going, we may need them. We may need them. Not only internationally, maybe domestically. Who knows? The way it's going with Venezuela, with Trump, and taking over the country. Well, he's not taking over the country. He's just it's under guardianship of the U.S. because right now they're mixed up little children that yeah, they need a guardian right now. And well, people say, yeah, it's about the oil, but did you know that their oil is very high sulfur? It's very dirty oil. It might be a lot of it, but to refine it takes even more energy to refine it. That's why the U.S. is saying, oh, yeah, we got the oil, but we really don't want it because our oil is cleaner. Our oil is easier to refine and it burns cleaner. They're still on the clean air crap. And don't get me started on that either. But yeah, Venezuela, what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep the oil out of the hands of China and Russia, because China and Russia, China really doesn't have that many, that much oil reserves. It's got to get a lot from Malaysia, and it bought a lot from Venezuela. Russia too. Russia, they have some reserves, and it's very hard to get to because the ground is frozen. Yeah. And so they go to Ukraine. Ukraine is, because it's more southern, it's warmer, it's easier to obtain the oil. And of course, you got Arabs and you got Middle East, but nothing compares to what they say is under Venezuela. But they still don't know what's under North America. I understand North America has some large deposits too. And it's not, folks, it ain't from dinosaurs, okay? No. It's just the natural, what happens when the road was formed. It's just pockets of this liquid gold. Yeah, I wish it wasn't. Yeah. I don't know how they got that. But that's gonna be another episode. I'm gonna start thinking about science. Science. That's gonna be several episodes. Yeah, because there are several parts of science that I want to take apart. And listen to my logic, and you tell me if I don't make sense. And you look around and you see the proof. You don't have to know the proof, and if you see the proof and accept the proof, then you'll know the proof. A lot of times it's right in front of your face, and don't listen to these guys that are getting grants, multi-million dollar grants from people who have nothing else better to do with their money. Like the flatulence of cows. Remember that one? Yes, cow farts are killing our ozone layer. Oh, that was fun. Right up there with Pet Rocks, yeah. Made a lot of sense. But yeah, that's what's happening in Minnesota. Watch Minnesota because that's just the start. It's going to be the start of a process for the federal government. They're going to hit other, by what they learn in Minnesota, they're going to be hitting other places. And don't you think those other, the anti-establishment, the real Nazis are looking at it? See, they're calling the MAGA guys and everything Nazis. What are they doing? Well, because they're the Nazis. But I called them first, so I get I get the the choice of labeling it. I call the label first, me first. It may not be true, but hey, me first. So just sit back and watch. To me it's fascinating because it's really, it is human nature. Yeah, you can pretty much, what's going to be happening, it happens, and okay, if this happens, then this should happen, and it keeps the mind going. It keeps your mind going, which is really good. Which what I like the stimulation. The only thing is, you know me and patience, right? It's we just like oil and water. Yeah, just no mix. I'm so impatient. You know, I- well, right now I'm building something and it says cure it for 72 hours. That's 3 days. Well, it's been, see, what time is it now? It's 4 o'clock. So it's been 16 hours. Yeah, the glue takes three days to cure, but I want a good cure because I don't want to worry about it once it's cured. But anyway, that's it for today. That's it for this week. I don't know if I said anything, but I hope I did. Hope you guys start watching start watching the news. Not for much what they say. It's get the gist, get the main idea of it. And I know for Hawaii it's really bad because when you get pulling on unresponsive 82-year-old man out of the water as the top news story. What can I tell you, right, Hawaii? Yeah, how many people are went to the baby luau last week? What can I say? Small town. So I told people we small town. But hope your New Year is going good. And I'm looking forward to next week. See what else is going. And please like, subscribe, and put in ideas. What you want me to talk about? I'll talk about almost anything. Almost anything. Okay. Believe me, I've worked healthcare. You gotta listen to our lunchtime talking. After we talk, you will not eat lunch. Okay, so we can talk about that kind of stuff and eat. I'll talk about anything. But anyway, you guys have a great week. Hui ho, malama pono, and of course from me to you, aloha. Have a great week and see you next week. Bye bye.